This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby. We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. You like that? You like that? I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, the best sports podcast in the land. I am Ruckus, always cousin Ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus the Menace.
And on this episode, we're going to go through our starting lineup, our Eastwood segment, the good, the bad, the ugly, the high heat, where we talk about the MLB Fall Classic, the World Series between the Yankees and Dodgers. We'll be talking also about the Week 7 NFL recap. And then on our color commentary, we will talk about some mid-season mullings. And then we will then get into our film room and predict / boldly claim which teams are going to beat who. And then at the end, we'll do our stud and dud of the week. So, Spennis, what you got?
Well, I got about as much as I can do. It's a good thing I've gotten way ahead on projects, so you guys are good on projects for me through the month of November, as I have finished the last little bits of that. G5 to Natty is getting a major boost as there will be a special day that I am going to be promoting here. December 4th. December 4th will be the closure of the Running Back Road to Glory series. Following that Road to Glory matchup, or video, the Road to Glory will be at noon, as per normal. As part of college football's championship week and the bowl month of December, I will be doing Group of 5 to Natty 3 days a week. Yes, you heard this right. 3 days a week. And a lot of success is going to happen, especially along the front half of the month, as a little teaser for you guys. And
how did you do it, Spennis? Was it energy drinks or cocaine or both?
what, as far as being able to get this far ahead?
Just producing so much.
Well, compared to some of a lot of things, realize I am a little bit older, so I know that I can properly craft a bunch of free time on my hands. And there were some times where it's I'm recording 1 a day or 2 a day. And keeping up with projects as I'm releasing them along. And I love being ahead for just in case those off chances that something happens.
Me too.
Or being on a vacation. Yeah, so I am already all the way through the month of November, and I am starting to wrap up the beginning of the year, or the end of the year for December. On top of that, I probably will be starting to look at the first of the year. Probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I may start working toward content for the first of the year. That is probably going to be the potential guarantee that I'm going to have the Captain America quarterback Road to Glory, and trying to make something a little more like Chris Evans and Steve Rogers. So Captain America is possibly going to be going down starting January 1 of 2025. So that is a hot date you may want to keep on the radar. It'll be just for the month of December for the college football bowl scheme of the 3 days a week. It'll go back to 2 days a week in January when Captain America rolls around. And hopefully within 2 or 3 seasons, I may have all G5 to Natty complete. Or it may possibly be that G5 to Natty completes, and then the series will spin off. Or it could lead to a spin-off. And going from where I will continue to say, yeah, I'm going to lead a group of 5 up, but then I continue in a sequel to the Power 4. Will we know what truly happens at this point? I'm going to tell y'all, just stay tuned. That is that. But as far as the actual transaction log, we have the WNBA playoffs update. Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart are the key cornerstones behind the reigning champions and new champions, the New York Liberty, for the first time in their franchise history, defeating the Minnesota Lynx in decisive Game 5 in overtime. Ionescu even put down a logo 3 to seal the Game 3 victory. Channeling a Stephen Curry type of vibe. And Minnesota's coach says it was rigged and that they stole it from them. But the New York Liberty, I think, deserved it. Ionescu is obviously one of the best shooters in the WNBA. I mean, granted, Caitlin Clark is on the rise, but at the same time, you still have none other than Caitlin Clark clearly there, but Ionescu is the one that so far has gone and done the shooting contest with Stephen Curry. And held her own, too. But is there any updates you want to give for projects you may have coming up, Ruckus?
Other than, so, the whole Ruckus Talks thing, I really only do in spurts, because I don't want to just repeat the same crap that everyone else is talking about when it comes to Chiefs news and whatnot. But I also just haven't really had the thought process to make a Ruckus Talks, because I also want to have time for my own stuff and just be able to decompress rather than just do stuff because I want to do it or should. Well, other than that, the Super Bear race has been a lot of fun. I've been trying to sparse it out to the point where I'm doing a couple episodes a week rather than doing a huge hodgepodge of them, because I have the time to do it and I don't have anything big coming up. So I am more so just trying to balance my life out a little bit more with having fun versus doing stuff for different causes or different things I do for stuff we do here with the podcast. But yeah, things are still going pretty good.
Yep. And that definitely is something as well that it's yeah, I still have time for fun. I still have time for fun. But what I do is when I'm focused, I will lock in on what I need to do and just focus on working whatever I can to get the project done. And if I get frustrated with something, I just step away for a little bit. That's ultimately kind of how I've really gotten so far ahead. Is that I focus on projects I need to and just get them chugging along. But now we can move on to the Eastwood segment, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that tumbleweed can go ahead and roll. Better than the Crimson Tide.
Okay, I gotta do it again. Alright, when Spennis isn't
I would have just left that. I would have just let that stay there. It doesn't matter.
Spennis equals poo poo head. No, I'm just kidding. What is good in sports this week, Spennis?
I am actually going to give a lot of props to the service academies, particularly Army and Navy. They are both currently ranked, granted on the lower side of it, but they are currently ranked in the top 25. If this holds up, it makes for a convincing American Conference Championship game, along with the iconic rivalry of the Army-Navy game.
I think
And
it'd
the
be cool to
last
see. I think it'd be cool to see the old helmets like they did with the Illinois Michigan game this past weekend, with the Illinois helmets being looking like they're older, like leathery.
Okay, so this is what's gone on. This is the first time that both have been ranked in the AP poll since 1960, but you have to go back even further for when the last time that Army and Navy have been ranked in terms of during the rivalry game. So the Army Navy game, the last time that Army and Navy were both ranked and playing each other was 1957. Both teams were ranked in 1960, but it was 3 years prior that number 8 Navy defeated Army 14-0 to win. And this was also 15 years before the Commander-in-Chief's trophy was ever created.
I was just looking up the helmets for the Navy and the Army for like Google images for 2024. The Navy one looks super cool. It's got like a submarine helmet, and it's like super dark, but it has like that like bowling pearlescent that you'd see where it's like that light blue. It's pretty cool looking.
Oh yeah, but I'm just talking like this is potential like first time in a long time type of things going on. And granted that I know that the uniforms for both sides are going to look nice because modern technology and style has kind of taken over, but I am all for this if Army and Navy are ranked up to this point. All for it. And Ruckus, the not so good this week,
Well,
ironically enough, compares to it more so segues a little better to the starting lineup.
yep. The WNBA players are opting out of their collective bargaining agreement, aka CBA, and could face work stoppage within next year. Bummer.
Yeah. Well, here's what I think goes on. The players are seeking a business model that reflects their true value, encompassing higher salaries, enhanced professional working conditions, expanded health benefits, and crucial investments needed for long-term growth. And this is citing higher television ratings, attendance figures, and franchise values. The union has said that the time is right for reneging with the league and owners. This movement this past season is truly the spark plug that has really gotten this to go. The league has entered an 11-year media rights deal with Disney, Amazon Prime, and NBC for $200 million a year. So yes, I think that this draft class has finally put more money opportunity out there for these basketball players, and saying that opting out isn't just about bigger paychecks. It's about claiming our rightful share of the business we've built, improving work conditions, and securing a future where the success we create benefits today's players and generations to come. We're not just asking for a CBA that reflects our value. We're demanding it because we've earned it. And I think with ladies like Sabrina Ionescu, who has crossed over with the 3-point shootout event in that showdown with Stephen Curry, the emergence of Caitlin Clark through the college ranks, and Angel Reese and Cardoso and this draft class, I think that this as a whole this draft class was ultimately the igniter.
I think it was
That
also a
started
good
this-
time in general for the CBA to be changed because you have all this talent, like you're saying, that's coming through.
Oh, well, that you've also got teams expanding. It's going to 13 teams next season with Golden State joining the league. And then the year after that, you've got Toronto and Portland. This is a historic season for WNBA that has just started. And now you have... It's like now you have this going on. And now you're going to have all this expansion going on? Of course you're going to want more because there's more people coming in. This is truly something. And I honestly, though this could be in the bad in the sense of, it's bad in the sense that there's a fear of work stoppage. Not in the bad in the sense of what the WNBA players are wanting.
Right.
What the WNBA players are wanting is truly good. And something that has been needed to be done for them so much more often than sooner, I should say. But it has taken just all these proper dominoes to fall. And if they potentially go into a lockout, especially at this point where they're now starting to really get this thing rolling, feel absolutely bad. Feel absolutely bad for the WNBA because I don't want this potential opt-out and everything else to ultimately adversely affect the positive trajectory that the league is going in. Simple as that.
Yep. And then the downright ugly. I want to preface this by saying, in Buffalo, sports fans will throw ice cold snowballs at the field. But in Texas, they do it better and bigger, as they would say. And they throw ice cold beers onto the field before a pass interference penalty was overturned. And the Longhorns ultimately lost the game and school was fined $250,000 over it. Ice cold beers.
There were beer cans. I mean, primarily I would say empty beer cans. They probably already drank the stuff, but but it was it was basically a bunch of trash.
What's better than cold? Ice cold.
You didn't even do that right. I said, what's cooler than being cool?
Ice cold. All right.
It took you long. It took you long enough to kind of catch where I was really going with that.
Yeah.
But yes, I think this is the problem is that this is ultimately due to the delay in the game. It's almost like the Longhorn fans were just trying to complain for it, and all of a sudden they're starting to throw stuff. It's bad enough that you have a whole bunch of other things going on that you have. It just it's not good. It's not good in the sense that now all you could now the refs can kind of just say you're being bribed by people just yeeting a bunch of junk onto the field. I feel like this sets a very, very bad precedent.
I think in
But at
general,
the
people
same,
are just gonna get upset over things and do stuff that they wish they didn't do in the moment.
but there's a lot of but there's a lot of escalation that needn't be there. Heck, we just had a playoff game no more than about a few weeks ago get delayed due to people yeeting trash onto the field at Jerks and Profar primarily. Like there's a point where fans are absolutely fine. Like Trev's chirps, where some of his chirps are like, I heard you eat corn the long way, you bum. Like some of them are at like some of the people there, it's like, oh, if you're actually do like a really good chirp that actually makes people laugh and like they're having fun, okay, that's a fan for the most part of it in line.
Yep.
And sometimes even the players, like, if they catch on to it and all of a sudden they're smiling and laugh, they'll smile and laugh at it just because it was more so meant to make a player laugh, or get some sort of like very, very mild reaction. Okay. Those are fine. I can get behind that because you're more so just it's humor. But there are points where the fans having involvement and major manipulation on the game being played or throwing stuff around. Okay, there's a point where that crosses the line. There's a point where the line gets crossed and it goes too far.
Yeah.
And yes, this does include the quote unquote streakers on the field too. Yes, that crosses a line too.
Oh, I make that joke
But
all
you
the time whenever I play foosball with a friend at work. Like, if like a ball accidentally goes like into the actual field, I'll be like, "Uh-oh, streaker on the field."
Oh yeah. But then at the same time, it's like, oh, you get some of the funny commentary on like a Westwood one when there was one with the Rams 49ers where it's like the guy's drunk, but there he goes.
Oh, did you hear
And
about the
it was
commentary
Kevin
with the
Harlan.
Yankees? There was
Oh, I didn't hear that.
So there was a commentary with the Yankees. I forgot who it was, but I think it was talking about one of the Yankees players running out there like he was drunk or something, like not really doing a whole lot. But it was. I'm just gonna say it was hilarious. That really doesn't add much to this conversation, but it just reminded me of that just now. Oh, they said the Yankees were playing out there like they were a bunch of drunks or something like that, and that was cracking up. It's in one of the highlights for one of the postseason games that happened. But anyways, Where do we want to fall now? Where do we want to go?
Well, let's move on to the high heat and let's go baseball. Move
The
on.
Yankees win.
Well, you have the Yankees and Dodgers advancing to the World Series. Granted, am I super happy about this? Not really. The Dodgers at least took a little longer and they had it go 6 games. But I am ultimately going to say this. 2 of the best teams in baseball and one of the longest standing interleague rivalries in baseball has had or now ignites because of this series. Do I hate that? No. Am I a fan of both teams that are there? No. But can I live with it in the sense that this is a historic rivalry? New York, LA. Granted that also this spans also New York, Brooklyn, or the Bronx, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get a little more behind that. But there is only so much of that I can take because you have the New York Bankies and Bankies West. So that for me just ain't it. But the question here is, Ruckus, who you got?
I really hope the Dodgers get the last laugh because they seem to have their ducks in order, or ducks in order upon, whatever you want to say with that. Um, I think Otani, the way he's been playing, has been good. Overall atmosphere for the Dodgers has been good. Tommy Edman came out of the woodwork, and people are wondering why the hell he's playing, and he's shown it clearly that he's still got it. Playing in his first postseason with the Dodgers, and then their pitching has been really good. Their bullpen has been superb. It's definitely deeper than what the Yankees have currently. And really, it's either team's series to lose, but I think deep down, I think the Dodgers are gonna make this an interesting one with the Yankees, and hopefully it gets to 7 games and the Dodgers win the 7th game. But we'll see.
I am actually going to say that here's my belief. I believe that the Dodgers are the most complete team remaining. The Dodgers, I believe, are a more complete football team than the Yankees. Or not football. The Dodgers are the more complete baseball team than the Yankees. Season of football on the brain. Okay.
Shohei Otani would look good in some football pads, though.
But also I would throw out there that the Dodgers just have everything, look like they have everything going right. This final roster for them clearly is going to have a very stout pitching rotation. As you still are going to have Yamamoto's still gonna be there. It's still gonna be Walker Buehler, and they've got more of. That looks like they do a little more opener style. Like they have a little more opener style with the pitching rotation than than their than having a whole bunch of starters, which is very interesting. And of course, you still have Austin Barnes and Will Smith as catchers. Kike, Gavin Lux, Freeman if healthy. Mookie Betts has been playing shortstop for them, which is a very interesting surprise. The Dodgers getting Kevin Kiermaier is a big thing for them on defense, along with Pages, Chris Taylor, Teoscar Hernandez, and Tommy Edman. So they've got guys. The biggest thing that I have is that I just think the Dodgers look like they are the most. They look more well-rounded. Yes, the Yankees can hit the long ball all they want. And the Yankees have some pretty good pitchers. Don't get me wrong. The Yankees thrive a little bit more on starting pitching. But in terms of catchers, I go advantage Dodgers. Infielders, it's kind of even. Outfielders, I very much am going to say that although you have Judge and Soto, I think that the Dodgers have a faster and more complete set of outfielders.
That's why I'm saying that there's more depth with the Dodgers than the Yankees, and I would
Yeah,
want the
and the
Dodgers to
and
win over them.
the Dodgers have more pieces. The Dodgers have more pieces that could get in at any particular time. So I'm going to say Dodgers in 6.
I think if the Dodgers can silence Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge, I think they make it quick. Because what the Guardians and the Royals couldn't do was stop Giancarlo from getting on base or making things happen. And that's where I'm going to end off on my thoughts for that. So, do you have any more to add to that?
Nope, we're ready to move on to the next half of the high heat.
All right. So this is Week
And
7 recap, and we are first going to talk about the Packers and Texans. Who is more of
we
a
have
real
4
deal?
games.
Go ahead.
It's like we have 4 games on the docket for our main recap of hitting the major games. And yeah, I'll let you go with the first one here with the Packers 24 and the Texans 22.
Who is more of a real deal, C.J. Stroud or Jordan Love? I think it's a toss-up, but Jordan Love has more experience playing than C.J. Stroud has been in the league, I believe. Because I think
Jordan Love has been.
I think like what 2 extra years in the
they're
league
both
compared to Stroud.
They're both second-year starters.
But Love has
They
been
are
in the
both
league 2
second-year
years longer though, because he was
Yeah,
in the age of Rodgers being excommunicated. I think as far as weapons go for both of them, it really helps their numbers. But I really don't know. I think
Here is where I'm at on this. Both of them have young weapons. Stroud with Collins, Dell. Although Collins was not available for this one, you have Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz. Stephon Diggs is a little older. But then you also have Joe Mixon, Damian Pierce. There's a bunch of young weapons on that core for CJ Stroud to be able to fire the ball to. Jordan Love also has rather young weapons. Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson when healthy, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. And then their older weapon, Josh Jacobs, in the backfield. a couple of older weapons on the Texans side, but the biggest reason why I am going to generally lean towards CJ Stroud is that Jordan Love has a gunslinger mentality that results him in more costly mistakes. Jordan Love is tied for the most interceptions on the season with your boy Patrick Mahomes. And Jordan Love has played one less game.
I think both of it. I feel like it's a toss up because you have such a great talent in Stroud, and you have the same with Love.
Yeah.
That game in general was just a very close one. You have two teams that have strong defenses. Um, I think they're
And the
both.
Packers defense did an incredibly great job in holding CJ Stroud to very little passing yards
I think.
and not letting CJ Stroud beat them.
I think that they both have the real deal potential, but I'm not going to say whether or not it's either CJ Stroud or Jordan Love that's better than the two. I think they're both equally pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, I do agree that both of them are really good. I just am not a huge believer in the sense of unless Jordan Love improves on decision making and being able to make the right decision, and then CJ Stroud with being able to shoulder the load in spite of what a defense does and do sometimes a better job of taking what the defense gives him. I think that the ceilings on both are high, but there are a lot of things they kind of have to improve upon in order to have the light of day be a little better.
All right, all right. Detroit 31, Minnesota 29. Has Jake Bates become a new face of greatness in kickers for 2024?
Absolutely. This absolutely is something that is definitely a major thing. The UFL season already earlier in this pretty much in this calendar year, Bates made a 64-yard game-winning field goal with the Michigan Panthers against the Battlehawks. The longest field goal in the history of both UFL and its predecessor leagues, the USFL and the XFL. 5 yards longer set than the guy the previous year. And the first in-game field goal of Bates' life, as it is tied for the second longest recorded field goal in professional football history behind Justin Tucker. It occurred under nearly identical circumstances on the exact same field. And he only attempted and missed one field goal before in high school. Had made the kick twice, the first being, and he had to make the kick twice. He drilled 2 more field goals of 60 or more yards in that season, one from 62 and one from 60. And then he was an all UFL kicker. And then he signs with Detroit. He is currently 10 for 10 on field goals. And granted that the Detroit Lions offense has been so good that he hasn't had to kick from as far out. So yeah, I'm gonna say this. I would say for 2024 standards, the face of kickers in the NFL or even just pro football in general is this man, Jake Bates. Some people are still going to say it's Justin Tucker. Some people are going to say it's Brandon Aubrey. Some people are even going to say it could be a couple of other names there. But I still believe currently, right now, it's Jake Bates.
Yep, sounds like a good one. And now there is only one undefeated team left in this
Yep.
NFL season, and that is
And
the
it is
Kansas City
still
Chiefs.
It is still the Kansas City Chiefs, who defeated the San Francisco 49ers 28-18. And the question now becomes, was this game more about the greatness of the Chiefs or how quickly the door for the 49ers being able to beat the Chiefs slamming shut?
I think this game pretty much solidifies what the Chiefs were able to do at Levi Stadium. I have yet to see a game where the 49ers beat the Chiefs at Levi Stadium. And I don't even think they beat us at Arrowhead at any point since Mahomes' era. So the 49ers being able to beat them is more of a thing of, is your talent there and ready at the hip to try and make that a reality, or are they going to miss a few opportunities or potential things that get them there? Because for the Chiefs, we, for the most part, gave them a few opportunities to score or do something big, and they squandered on the opportunity because there were a few times where Mahomes threw an interception, which was 2 times, and then there was 3 times for Brock Purdy. 2 of those times were rookie secondary people, one being Roland Wallace, I believe, who was playing corner because Jalen Watson broke his ankle on one of the plays. And then you have Jaden Hicks, which was a round 3 or 4 pick from the draft, I believe, and he also got a pick. And then Justin Reed, our strong safety, got a pick. I think if you're going to play, I think if you're going to talk about the door being slammed shut, I think it's more they were being themselves. But both teams are very locked in when it came to who was going to score. Like, that first quarter was pretty boring because of the fact that both teams were struggling on offense because their defenses were very good. The 49ers had probably the second or third best defense behind the Chiefs. And the Chiefs' defense is pretty beat up currently. You got no Jalen Watson, your CB2. You've got a somewhat banged up Justin Reed. You just lost Jalen Watson for a little bit with that broken ankle. Probably going to be out for the rest of the season. But yeah, uh, I think it was more about the greatness of the Chiefs to answer the question.
I disagree. I believe this is more about how quickly the door has slammed shut. And pretty much, if you were to look at this entire season at this point so far, you have the door was very wide open at the end of the Super Bowl. Expectations are at a sky high amount for what San Francisco could do. And then you have the injury to Christian McCaffrey. That's your number one running back. That's the guy that has been the best player in the NFL for a good amount of time. And this is the guy that currently is still stuck and still the reason why the Madden curse is still alive.
He was doing that kind of shit before the Madden curse, too. Like when he was playing with the Carolina Panthers. He was doing that stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying that but it becomes more prevalent and it puts itself on a much larger scale as far as that would go because he's on the cover of this year's Madden and has not played a single down this season. But that's beside the point. They've done a good job of having that kind of go through with that. But then you have major defensive players get hurt. You have, and let alone on top of that, you've had wide receiver after wide receiver after wide receiver get hurt or ill. Debo currently hospitalized. Ayuk tore a couple ligaments in his knee. Juwan Jennings with hip issues. There's a lot of things that are going on that ultimately, I'm going to say it, have hurt the San Francisco 49ers. And this is on top of that Kyle Shanahan, as a head coach, is still snake bitten when it comes to performing well enough to win a Super Bowl as a coach. The last time a Shanahan has won a Super Bowl, Kyle was in college. He wasn't even a coach yet. And that was when his father won as the Denver Broncos head coach in 98. Kyle Shanahan has been to the Super Bowl thrice and has won none of them. I still stand on business to this day that Kyle Shanahan and his play calling is the reason why Atlanta collapsed. Especially when you're up by 8 with about 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and you could have made it a 2-possession game with 2.5 to play. And you're in field goal range on top of that. Excusable. Play the game differently, Kyle Shanahan. And really, a lot of this has been a matter of keeping guys healthy. And some of those guys, they may have been so focused on contract extensions, but health proves to be an issue. I mean, Ayuk gets a contract extension and messes up his knee. And right now, so far, the best player as far as Brock Purdy getting the ball to him has been George Kittle. Kittle has had a resurgence this year. But that's because he's been the only person that the Niners have been able to get the ball to effectively. And consistently on top of that. So yes, I'm going to say it right now. The San Francisco 49ers at this current juncture are not good enough to be a Super Bowl team. The window and the doors to even be in the Super Bowl and beat the Kansas City Chiefs slammed so fast. And it has further reared its ugly head now. And especially with this game. Not because Brock Purdy's issues of being able to of having turnovers happen. Because the defenses have played extremely well. It's just the injuries on the offensive side of the ball have prevented the 49ers from being able to healthily put numbers up on the board and in timely situations against the Kansas City Chiefs. And it doesn't matter where the game's played. This right here is really the reason why I think this is the bigger thing, because not only does it slam shut for them to beat the Chiefs, but it also affects them as far as a deeper playoff run, which means you're going to have to focus on getting using a couple of those picks that are going to be a little higher up the draft board than where you're expected to as a San Francisco 49ers fan, to maybe fill in a couple of those holes with a couple more durable players that you can use. Or make a couple of trades to get more assets. I mean, I'm not saying fire Kyle Shanahan. I'm not calling for his head. He's been an effective coach. But there's a lot that goes with Kyle Shanahan and his inability to win a Super Bowl. Plain and simple. And I'm not mincing words about it.
Yep. And then Steelers Jets. Steelers 37, Jets 15. Have the Steelers found the right direction with Russell Wilson taking the helm? I think they got lucky against a team that's self-destructing right in front of our eyes, but I feel like they should still be using Justin Fields, because Russell Wilson's, I don't think, is the answer for the Steelers, but I guess.
Are we really going to do this again? Are we really doing this again?
Doing what again?
This is the second time where I'm going to have to say I disagree. I disagree. I believe that this is the right decision. Why? Let's pop up some numbers from this game. And granted, yes, I'm completely going to be saying that, yes, the New York Jets are currently a team with an identity crisis. I am not denying that for a second. This is a team with a very heavy identity crisis of they just traded for Devontae Adams, but yet the one thing is that they are not using their very, very effective running back that they have, who is pretty much a top-tier running back, especially in the fantasy football world. They're not using Breece Lightning effectively. Breece Lightning is still in the shop. And it's not getting its proper care and proper driving. And yes, Breece Lightning is not burning up the quarter mile. If you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yep.
But I digress. Enough with my New York Jets bashing. Here's why I think Russell Wilson is more so the right answer. Is that with Russell Wilson having effectiveness in the passing game, he was 16 for 29. Yeah, that's just above 50%. 264 yards. Only got sacked once for a loss of 4, so it really, team-wise, was 260 passing yards. 2 touchdowns, no picks. So Russell Wilson was playing effective mistake-free football. But Russell Wilson has an effective receiver that he can get the football to. And that is George Pickens. He's got a tight end to get the ball to. That's Pat Freiermuth. Russell Wilson has been able to unlock what the true secrets of this passing game have been able to do. And with the effectiveness of that passing game, it's going to open up more options for the running game with Najee Harris. As Najee Harris broke 100 yards and scored on a touchdown. I think it's the tactical advantages that come with Russell Wilson as a that has put the Pittsburgh Steelers in better hands with Russell Wilson than Justin Fields. You seeing where I'm going with this right now?
Yeah, I looked at the stats, and he looked pretty good in that game.
Yeah, Russell Wilson has looked really good in that game. And you're seeing a renaissance of being able to use George Pickens. I don't think they necessarily need to lock in on George Pickens too much. Have spread the ball around to a lot of your other pass targets, but just about every single all but one person was targeted at least 3 times and also had at least 15 receiving yards.
He reminds
So
me
Russell
of
Wilson-
Santonio Holmes, the wide receiver they had in the Super Bowl. with
You
Big
talking
Ben.
Pickens?
Yeah.
Wait, are you talking George Pickens?
Yes.
I think Pickens is bigger. I think Pickens is a bigger receiver than Santonio Holmes when you honestly look at it. The height again. Oh yeah. I mean, Santonio Holmes was 5'11", 192. George Pickens is 6'3", 200. So yeah, I mean, granted, not much in terms of like weight difference, but Pickens is definitely bigger. Like, he's a bigger target. And I think George Pickens, if with Russell Wilson developing that timing and that passing game, Pittsburgh is going to be quite scary if they can get that to go the way they need to. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers are able to trade for a potential second weapon for reasonably cheap, like reasonably cheap as in like, okay, maybe not necessarily like a huge trade, but something healthy enough, I think Pittsburgh is going to be I think Pittsburgh will be just fine. And I think they are in better position than what a lot of people thought they would be.
Yep. All right, let's go into the color commentary. This is mid-season mullings, as I talked about earlier in the episode. Let's start with the first one being wide receivers on the move, which was
And a proper segue of why talking about George Pickens as a wide receiver. We have Amari Cooper to Buffalo, Devontae Adams to the Jets. Is there another team set to trade for a wide receiver that needs it? And which wide receivers could be the ones moving, potentially? Injuries piling up. And this is kind of also saying that injuries piling up in San Francisco and Kansas City. Two teams that kind of should consider.
I think if you're going to consider any wide receiver, you would have to look either at teams that are not doing so well right now, like the Giants. Look at that. Look at a few of their wide receivers, like Darius Slayton, or a few no names from the Giants. You could also look at
Yeah, you're not getting a Malik Neighbors, no.
Well, I'm not saying
That's
Malik Neighbors. I'm saying either Darius Slayton or there's one other guy that they keep putting his name up on, but
Wandale Robinson.
I think that was it.
Wandale Robinson.
Either him or another guy, but
yeah, I think it's Wandale. I think Wandale's the other one.
And then the Cowboys maybe, but I doubt anyone's going to get a big trade for CeeDee Lamb or anything like that. There's no way.
CeeDee Lamb is not moving. CeeDee Lamb is not moving. I do not see a potential Cowboys receiver getting moved. But I would say this, if the Carolina Panthers could eventually have something break through and you see Deontay Johnson hit the block. I think Deontay Johnson could be a very interesting target for say a team. I mean, Pittsburgh could do it simply for another effective receiver on the other side. We've seen weird trade reunions happen before, like Cam Akers to Minnesota. Deontay Johnson could end up back in Pittsburgh. Who knows? We've been seeing potential rumblings about deals or about potential opportunity to open up for, say, players like Garrett Wilson or players like Cooper Kupp.
I think you keep Cooper Cup because his contract was very big and expensive, and the Rams could still pull out of this if they truly wanted to. I don't think it would have been a good idea for Cooper to come to Kansas City, mainly because of his dropping of balls, which is what we're trying to eliminate in the Chiefs' offense, as far as balls being caught and or dropped. Devontae Adams to the Jets. I kind of saw that coming, but I just didn't know when. Also, I think the last time Devontae Adams was with Aaron Rodgers, their team wasn't doing the greatest. It was doing enough to get by, but it only got so far as to the NFC Championship and then losing to either the 49ers or another big team. But if Devontae Adams came to Kansas City, that would be an arm and a leg on the cap space, and you'd have to restructure a lot of contracts.
Devontae Adams is going nowhere. Devontae Adams is going nowhere. I think you might be talking about, you may be more effectively wanting to talk about DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, I was just saying Devontae Adams,
I
before
think
he
you were
got
trying to
traded.
say.
Listen, I was talking about Devontae Adams becoming a Chief before he decided to go to the Jets. Is what I was saying. Is it would be too much of a cap hit. Amari Cooper going to the Chiefs would have been a bad idea, even though the Buffalo Bills only are spending about 100K or maybe even just 500K on the player and getting a good, decent wide receiver that's well known with Amari Cooper. But I don't know what the Chiefs do. If they trade for Deontay Johnson, which I think that would be a semi-smart move, or if I don't know if you go for D-Hop. Because he's in, the twilight years of the NFL. He is in that mode where you have a a known name wide receiver like Larry Fitzgerald that played for the longest time, where it was Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is the new Larry Fitzgerald. That's
Well, here are the here's the breakdown on Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has a potential out at this point in his contract after this season. So yes, I think if the Rams want to send Cooper Kupp, it would probably go to a team that either can use Kupp on a rental or could potentially look to send something or restructure something for Kupp. Granted that he is 31. He's 31. He's about the same age as Devontae Adams.
And he's fragile as hell.
Actually, I think. Oh yeah. I mean,
he's not as fragile as Odell Beckham, but he is pretty fragile.
Yeah. But yes, Devontae Adams. I think the Cooper deal is good, but I think if Deontay Johnson could not be a bad spot. But I think that you've got Kansas City, you've got San Fran. I think you've got Pittsburgh possibly could be in the mix. A lot of people have been speculating that Washington could possibly be in the mix for something. But I think Washington may be better off just drafting one.
Yeah.
I think drafting one is going to be the better solution for Washington if you were really to give it a proper thought.
I think the Chiefs do something that's smart money moves, but also helps the future rather than just going all in now for them. I think if they do end up getting Deontay Johnson, that'd be smart, but I don't think Cup would be the answer for the Chiefs, just due to his health, and we already have Juju, which is on a health decline with a hamstring issue going forward currently, and then we still have other weapons in our practice squad too. Like we still have Justin Ross, uh, Nico Remijo, and a few others. But yeah, it's gonna be a toss up what happens with who's the next wide receiver out, and I think it either happens later this week or um next week. Because isn't the deadline not until like the first or second week of November?
Yeah, first week of November. So we got 2
Okay.
weeks left.
Yeah, I think it happens right around that trade deadline time. Especially because I feel like the Devonte Adams deal was sooner is the better because the Jets were in trouble offensively, and the Bills were also in trouble offensively too, and they wanted to get the ground running. But yeah, let's go into the next question, which is
Yep.
Tua is
The next
potentially going to
one is going to
return to
be
action as early as week 8. How should the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel handle the impending return of concussion prone QB1?
I'm going to say with extreme caution. I would almost be at that point where Tua would be required, if he were to play, to have a Guardian cap on.
You know those floor men aren't really going to do that,
I would,
right? I mean, it'd be
yeah, but
smart
I'm
for Tua
saying
to
that
throw the Guardian helmet on.
yeah, but I would highly doubt. I would say if you are wanting to try and make your push for the playoffs and try and stay somewhat relevant again, then yes, I would try and get Tua out there. But if you are more concerned about the health of Tua and trying to get him properly back up, it's going to be very difficult to do with the amount of concussions he's had without requiring him to have the Guardian cap. I think honestly they got to really handle this with the utmost care.
Yeah, the Guardian helmet really needs to be in place for him, and also he just needs to slide instead of going head first on run plays, because that has reared its ugly head for him in the past, and just it's just not a good idea to go head first to go down. And when I saw that happen live, I was like, this guy is dumb for doing that. And knowing the history of the Miami Dolphins, like uh, health staff and training staff, I don't know if they're really gonna uh, make him wear the Guardian helmet, but they're probably gonna strongly advise him to.
Yeah, I fully agree on that. And I'm going to say let's move on to the next one here. The Jets and Hassan Reddick have now come to their agreement that will waive the $12 million in fines for their holdout D end. Does the agreement help with a possible trade, or will the Jets try and see if they can kind of get some playing time available for him?
I think that they try to get some playing time available for him. But I don't know if he actually still wants to be traded and doesn't care much to play for the Jets. Then I think he's on a bad path because I don't know what other team would want him for the money he's asking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He would have to go to a team that would not only pay him proper, or at least pay him proper, in quotes,
Yeah.
but then also have the cap space to be able to do so. And there are only so many teams that could properly consider that. But the problem is that I think this holdout caused more of a disruption. And there are a lot of teams that also would want to come around, kind of have around and say at that point, saying, we don't want them problems. If he's going to cause that much of a problem, you can go ahead and keep him. You can go ahead and keep him. We don't need him. I think the only team that really could properly look into it and feel absolutely okay is the Detroit Lions. And that is because they just lost their number one pass rusher in Aiden Hutchinson due to the two broken bones in his legs. Or two broken bones in his one leg. So I think the Jets are going to have to rock with what they got. You made your bed, you got to lie in it.
Yep. So, last one.
The next thing here, the chatter has been a buzz to talk about narrowing the goalposts for NFL kickers, as the trend has been that field goals from 50 yards or further this season, as of week 6, is at 77 made, including 3 from 60 plus. This also is the most in NFL history. Should the NFL even consider this?
Because there's one
I didn't
job
even
and
hear the
one
first
job.
part of that.
I think it's a no because strictly because field goal kickers have one job and one job only, and it's to kick a damn field goal through the uprights or as close as they can. And I think if you're gonna try and narrow it just to make it harder on the field goal people, I think you're making a silly mistake. I think you should just leave it alone.
I believe my answer to this is also no. If you are so bent on wanting to have points on the board, then kickers needing to split the uprights is an imperative. If you narrow it, it makes it more difficult for kickers to be able to do that. It makes it more difficult, which means the kickers have to be even more accurate and not just have the power leg. But then on top of that, really, as far as an NFL kicker would go, their effectiveness is not as much based on how they kick the football. You got to have a snap good and a hold good and hope your blocking is able to be effective in getting you the right amount of time to be able to step in and kick the football in the first place. People be like, oh, kicking's easy. Look at the college game days with Pat McAfee and people missing field goals horribly sometimes. Kicking is not easy.
Yep,
I
and
know.
especially onside
I've
kicks
tried.
too. Especially onside
That's
kicks.
beside the point.
I'll talk about the onside kick later. All right, are we ready for our picks?
Yeah, let's go ahead and set that up. And right now, it is looking like we have clearly found a lot closer of a gap. I was up by 20 something last week. That lead is now down to 9. But we still have the Baltimore game to be scored, of which currently the Ravens are leading 20-10. However, we have more games on the board. The first one is going to come out of the Mountain West. For 2 points, Boise State versus UNLV.
Boise State.
I am taking that star running back Ashton Jeanty and Boise State. For 2 points in the Big Ten, Illinois and Oregon.
I'm picking Illinois.
Quack, quack, quack. I'm taking the Ducks.
Was that the last 3 quacks they had before Illinois strangled them?
No, they were the 3 ducks. They were the 3 quacks that kind of ended up forming a Mickey Mouse organization that would name their team the Ducks.
All right. Missouri, Alabama.
Oh wait, that team is actually Anaheim. My bad. Beside the point. And we've got 2 big SEC bounce back opportunities. Will Alabama be able to bounce back against Missouri?
I think it'll be the Crimson Tide of the Alabamas. Go Bama.
I am thinking that the Crimson Tide will end up leaving the Missouri Tigers in a crimson mask. I'm taking the Tide here. And then the Longhorns against number 25 Vanderbilt.
I think it'll be the home. I think
the
the Horns will be hooked.
Yep, I am also going to take Texas here. And then LSU versus Texas A&M. Also for 2 points.
I have Texas A&M. Go Aggies.
I am taking the Aggies as well at Kyle Field. LSU is number 8. But there is something about that 12th man. And Ruckus should know better. Because the last time we had a game with the Aggies and the 12th man at Kyle Field, I ended up taking A&M and getting it. And now we move on to the NFL. The first game on the docket will be Eagles-Bengals for 1 point.
Picking the Bengals. I think Burrow and company will get it done, and the Eagles are probably not going to get as lucky as they did against the Giants.
I think the Eagles are resurging. I'm taking the Eagles here because I think they are trending right now in the right direction. A rematch in the NFC South. Falcons Bucks. This time it's at Raymond James Stadium.
I'm taking the Bucks.
I am actually taking. I'm going to take the Falcons here. I'm going to take the Falcons. Colts Texans. Can the Texans bounce back from a tough loss against the Packers?
I think the Texans will beat the Colts. The Colts have been looking kind of painful out there offensively. So I think the Texans are
Oh,
going to show them up.
I am a believer that Anthony Richardson is in the island of misfit quarterbacks. I'm taking the Texans. For 1 point, the Bills and the Seahawks.
I'm picking Josh Allen and the Bills just strictly because I think they have what it takes to take out the Seahawks, and currently the Seahawks are without DK Metcalf, so I'm going Bills, just strictly off the talent they have.
I'm taking the Bills as well here. And then another 3-pointer. The Chicago Bears versus the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels is week to week with the rib.
I think it's going to be the Chicago Bears because of the fact that the Commanders are more than likely going to be without Jaden Daniels, but we'll see. Um, Mariota is kind of a mixed bag at quarterback. I mean, the same could be said about Caleb Williams, but I think Caleb Williams shines out and does what it takes to win against the Commanders. I'm taking the Bears.
I am taking the savvy of the playbook of Cliff Kingsbury right now. And I am going to say that the Commanders here can improve to 6-2. I'm taking the Commanders here. And then the 49ers and the Cowboys.
I think we all know what Kittle's going to be
If we
wearing
even
under his
still want to
jersey.
hang. Yep. And I think it's going to probably prove itself very, very effective here. I am very much going to say the 49ers here.
I am going to also say the 49ers because George Kittle is going to have a Frick the Cowboys t-shirt underneath his jersey like he did last year. I guarantee it.
Yep. Yep. And the question now is, are we ready to close out the episode and get to our stud and dud of the week?
Oh, thank God. Yes, please. Okay. You want me to go first?
All right. All right. Yep, go for it.
All right. My stud for this week on episode number 119 is Giancarlo Stanton carrying the Yankees offense to the World Series, as he also did in the Division Series and the Championship Series, but especially the Division Series, where he was mostly offense for the Yankees during the series with the Royals, but also he's just still balling out even then, with many homers to help out the Yankees. But my dud, and I showed this to Spennis yesterday when we were doing our writing, Anders Carlson does his absolute worst impression of an onside kick. Instead, tries to do a wide receiver ball spin like you would get a first down or a touchdown ball spin, but with his foot. I was watching this live and I'm like, what the hell is that? it, it, about like I said earlier with you shouldn't narrow the field goal post. I think it comes down to the kicker. You have one job, and this guy messed up an onside kick. it was it was it was just a thing to behold. Anyways, Spinnis, go ahead.
And then my stud this week goes to Bills rookie Keon Coleman for showing newly traded wide receiver Amari Cooper what route he is supposed to run as a confirmation of a play call. End result, Amari Cooper's first touchdown as a Buffalo Bill. So yes, the Bills wide receiver room has shown at this point that teamwork is making the dream work for Buffalo. But my dud goes to the Alabama Crimson Tide for trying to fake an injury as a manipulation tactic. But yes, I know that a lot of people would kind of do that, but it was done in the absolute worst way possible, as the player that they had fall had just stepped off the field and was trying to get back on, and it was caught in 4K. Yes, this seriously happened. The theory was good, but the execution was absolutely ineffective. Alabama ultimately loses this game to Tennessee. But man, this just looked worse than what it really. Because we've seen people do the fake injury plot, and this was legitimate. This was really a fake injury on top of that. There was no legitimacy. What? Go ahead and take us out, Ruckus.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to episode 119 of the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, the best sport podcast in the world. I am Ruckus, always calls him a Ruckus.
I'm Spanish the Menace.
And we'll see you guys in episode 120. Deuces.
Deuce.